Yes, let's talk about Blackhat, which is the new film from Michael Mann, the director of Heat and Collateral. It's his first film for 6 years, and it's, in a way, it's very much a traditional Michael Mann film, and in other ways it isn't. We'll come to that later. It's about a black hat hacker, who is someone who hacks computer systems for personal gain, who is carrying out this incredibly intricate sequence of attacks all around the world. The film begins with this attack on a nuclear reactor in Hong Kong, and then it moves elsewhere. And in order to catch this guy, the FBI in America and also the Chinese military decide to team up and form this very small international task force who will go on this guy's tail. In order to help them do this, they bring out of jail another hacker called Hathaway, who's played by Chris Hemsworth, a.k.a. Thor, the least hacker-looking hacker that you've seen in your life. This guy.
What does a hacker look like?
Well, not like Chris Hemsworth. You know, this guy. I mean, he's worked out. He's had a chest wax. You know, this is not kind of high on a normal hacker's agenda. I've heard. I don't know. Maybe they all are super hunks. Who knows? But so they take this guy out of jail and they say, okay, so you're going to go on this guy's tail, and he goes around the world with Viola Davis, who plays his FBI handler, and various other people, and he breaks the law and kind of sneaks in through various security systems. Here's a clip of him doing so.
Okay, so how's it work? You give NSA the data, they run it, what?
No, they have a remote login, we run it. You're not thinking.
Come on, they got the keys to the kingdom. Our guy's address, maybe. Whatever he's cooking up next is right in there. Only we can't read it.
Let's go. My old correspondence with Donahue is here. But there's no way that login is still active.
I'm not gonna use that login. Okay, Donahue, the NSA contact you was talking about.
If NSA discovers the intrusion, you sure you want to do this?
FBI can't explain after the fact?
You locate this guy, you're okay. You get discovered, you're dead meat. You know that, don't you?
That's Viola Davis being very deadpan and very withering, which she does throughout this film very well indeed.
It's all the PTA, CTA. It's all the. I just get confused after I've heard four kind of, you know.
Well, the jargon in this film is very interesting. I mean, Blackhat, the title is, I mean, you know, this was the sign in the old westerns that someone was a bad guy, was they'd be wearing a black hat. And, you know, Michael Mann loves this kind of idea of things echoing through history. I don't know if you've seen Heat and Public Enemies. There's the bank raid sequences in both of those films. In Heat, De Niro goes in, stands on the, you know, his present day LA, goes in, stands on the desk in this bank and kind of, you know, waves his machine gun around and says, "Don't worry, folks. It's not your money we're stealing, it's the bank's." And then in Public Enemies, which I think he made 14 years after Heat, I think, just off the top of my head, but a long time after Heat, he has Johnny Depp's character, John Dillinger, do exactly the same thing. He goes into the bank and says, "Don't worry, folks, it's not your money we're stealing, it's the bank's." So this idea that crime is somehow, in its essence, the same, even across big swathes of time and, you know, with advances in technology. So you have Blackhat. The program that the Black Hat hacker uses to infiltrate systems is called a rat. You know, this is what James Cagney would talk about, you dirty rat. So it's all drawing on these, you know, gangster movie things that Mann's entire career has been drawing on. When you think of Michael Mann, you expect, you know, big, glowing, grid-like cities, people kind of slipping through little lanes in those, machine gun fights on the streets, you know, speedboats cutting across bays, and all of this kind of incredibly stylish, glamorous stuff. That's all in there as well. And the actual story of Blackhat is a straightforward pursuit. So in one sense, it's all style over substance. You know, you have this idea where all they're doing is they move from LA to Hong Kong to Jakarta, and they're going around the world chasing this guy, and he's always one step ahead. I think to appreciate Blackhat on that level is kind of to miss the point. You know, it's not just a straightforward pursuit thriller. If you think about Drive by Nicholas Winding Refn, right, this is not a film like The Fast and the Furious. It's not about cars. It's actually about the kind of the mood and the subculture and the kind of life that the people that are around this subculture lead. And so in the same way Blackhat works like that, you have the idea of a world that is at once incredibly interconnected, where people can slip across national borders electronically. And, you know, you can be sitting in a hut on one side of the world and take down a nuclear reactor on the other side of the world. But at the same time as all this interconnectedness, there's a lot of isolation and a lot of loneliness and a lot of being trapped. And this is something that the film evokes incredibly cleverly. For me, the big precursor to Blackhat is actually it's an animated film from 1995 called Ghost in the Shell by a director called Mamoru Oshii. which it's an anime, and it's one actually weirdly that the Wachowskis have been incredibly influenced by throughout their career, but on a very superficial level, just in terms of the style of it. What Michael Mann seems to be doing is he's evoking the same kind of sense of incredible technological advancement, but the loneliness at the heart of that. And this is a film to kind of be experienced and to be revelled in and to let wash around you. You know, when you get Michael Mann in Hong Kong, and you get his cinematographer Stuart Drybra, who is actually quite a newcomer to cinematography. You know, he's not a kind of a superstar DOP, but the way in which these guys shoot Hong Kong is just phenomenal. You know, you have these enormous kind of dark gravestone-style buildings, these rivers of humanity trickling in between them with bright neon lights. Wherever the characters are, there will be a billboard with a large eye on it or a big face staring down at them, and it's just about this kind of sense of always constantly being surveillanced, always constantly being spied on, never being truly free from this kind of web of technology that's around them. Now, I love all of this, and if you're prepared to kind of just luxuriate in these images and just to soak it up on that level, I think you'll get a big kick out of this.
Okay. I mean, with like Collateral, I mean, I just kind of loved his interpretation of a different side to LA than you'd ever seen, that kind of idea of the kind of, you know, just those shots in that car, just the two of them. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and you can. Michael Mann works with digital photography as well, and this is a creative choice for which he's been dragged over the coals many times. You know, he started on Collateral. I think Collateral was pretty much half and half shot on film and digital. Miami Vice was his first all-digital film, and he's not looked back since then. And, you know, since then, film, celluloid, has become this kind of, haute couture format that people like Quentin Tarantino and Christopher Nolan and Paul Thomas Anderson can champion and kind of say, you know, this is the absolute fabric of what we do. And Michael Mann just has no time for that. And I think Blackhat is a perfect marrying together of his visual style and the substance of the story itself, because it looks like heightened news footage. You know, you have incredibly visceral, exciting sequences where they're dashing down a kind of a very, very narrow lane to try and catch up with a hacker, where he's just left a packet of code somewhere has been transferred, and they're running to try and catch up with him. And it's heart and mouth and kind of immediate, and you're present there in a way that you aren't with film, because film provides that little bit of kind of soft distance that you don't get. For me, this is Michael Mann's best film for a very, very long time. And I would say, you know, if you can kind of if you dug Drive for the kind of reasons that I've just described, I would say this is absolutely something to seek out and see on a very, very large screen if you can find it.